and welcome to the Ideal Forever Partner Magnet Podcast, the show where we explore the infinite benefits of creating the relationship of a lifetime, attracting our ideal forever partner like a magnet, and living our best life as the highest and best version of ourselves. I'm your host, Arell Holloway. I'm the results coach, fitness expert, former real estate investor, and founder of UTAIY, Unveiling the Angel in You, and the World Impact Compound Movement. This podcast is for overachievers and romantics that never learned the art of love relationships. That was me. Anyone wanting to improve their relationships and receiving and having, as well as giving unconditional love. And it is also for couples who want to strengthen their existing relationship and take it to an even greater level. The greatest change we make in ourselves in our lifetime is committing with our ideal forever partner, IFP for short. The biggest impact I can make in someone's life is to teach them how to manifest their ideal forever partner. So with this podcast, I'm dedicating to help souls around the world wake up to who you really are and what you really want in life, helping you on your path of learning about unconditional love by creating significant epic relationships that generate happy memories. Stay tuned because you won't want to miss the game-changing advice we're about to share on this awesome journey. This podcast is for overachievers and romantics that never learned the art of love relationships. That was me. Anyone wanting to improve their relationships and receiving and having, as well as giving unconditional love. And it is also for couples who want to strengthen their existing relationship and take it to an even greater level. The greatest change we make in ourselves in our lifetime is committing with our ideal forever partner, IFP for short. The biggest impact I can make in someone's life is to teach them how to manifest their ideal forever partner. So with this podcast, I'm dedicating to help souls around the world wake up to who you really are and what you really want in life, helping you on your path of learning about unconditional love by creating significant epic relationships that generate happy memories. Stay tuned because you won't want to miss the game-changing advice we're about to share on this awesome journey. We're going to get started on our topic, which is what settling for less than your ideal forever partner looks like and what it will cost you in your lifetime. Golden nugget. Who we truly are is the person who doesn't get what it wants. That's a quote from yours truly. Who we really are, or who we truly are, is the person who doesn't get what it wants. By that I mean the person that we actually are inside. Not the person that we're showing everyone, but the person that we really are is the person that doesn't get what they want. Are you willing to settle? And what will this settling cost you? First, let's talk about settling. Why would anyone even settle? The only reason I can think of where anyone would even consider settling is if the person settling doesn't feel they are worthy of being with the IFP avatar they really want. This is all about how you feel about yourself. I have some good news. This is completely changeable. How you feel about you is completely changeable. You are completely changeable. I'm completely changeable. Look, if all it took to manifest your IFP avatar and live your best life was hinged on you changing how you think you feel about yourself, then why the heck wouldn't you do that? Why the heck is this such a heavy price to pay? The mentality one has to be willing To settle is unique in itself. Cambridge Dictionary defines settling as to move to a lower level and stay there. Also, another definition is to drop. Settling is about giving up on anything better and agreeing to accept it the way it is. But with this mental attitude, it won't stay the way it is. It will actually decline continuously. I don't think that is what you want, and I don't hope that for you. I wish you the best that life has to offer. I want you to live your life to the fullest, to such an extent that only you, with your individuality, can. I want to get ideas from your example on how to live an even better life. Creating our goals and dreams is fulfilling. Finding reasons to not create them leaves us unfulfilled. Unfulfillment can lead to disappointment in life and also to depression. Why wouldn't we all be creating our goals and dreams? It seems like everyone would have this as their number one priority in life. We may be taught to follow a different program. But why would this be? We don't always pursue what we want because we may be taught to follow a different program. But who would decide what we should do instead of creating our own goals and dreams? Does God not want us to create them? No, the opposite. God wants us to have everything that we want. Do we want to create them? Or are we trained or believe we want something else other than what our goals and dreams are? What? How could this be? And why would anyone do this to us? Let me remind you of a little history. When the industrial age hit full swing in the US, factories manufacturing goods became the number one priority in the nation. Who ran these machines and assembly lines in these manufacturing giants? Yep, you guessed it. People or factory workers. The factories needed people to become factory workers to propel the manufacturing industry. This became a huge incentive to become factory workers, and this went on for generations. Family histories were written as factory workers from one generation to another. Parents often expected their children to become factory workers and raised them with this programming that carrying on this family tradition would provide well for everyone in the family. Creating our goals and dreams were reinterpreted as fantasies, and the reality was you need to get a factory job and put food on the table for your family and provide for them. Of course, this included taking care of elderly parents and grandparents in their older age. Going against this mentality was going against family tradition and, well, against sanity itself. Anyone that had a deep desire to do anything else was an outsider and often was outcast. Most people went along with their program and their family's tradition to be accepted, included, and feel important to the family. Going against the family would be too hard, and frankly, they were unsure whether they even had the right to do so. How powerful is that for society influencing families who program their children to what society demands or requires? Kind of scary stuff. We're seeing some changes being pushed by society now, like socialism or communism, which has never worked anywhere in the world. If you consider working that the people are happy and content. Democracy, on the other hand, like here in the US, is one of the most powerful experiments ever accomplished. It is understandable that this democracy threatens all non-democratic suppressing nations because it demonstrates that freedom is powerful and truthful, and it is contagious even amongst non-democratic nations' citizens. Ultimately, settling is about taking what you think you can get and giving up on your goals and dreams or anything better. I'm not talking about being realistic. Realistic has a hint of reason. Fantasy is a whole other topic of its own that I will address another time. Remember, there's a huge difference between dreams and fantasies, although certain agendas would use this argument to make their own case, even if it was not factual or untruthful and didn't even make good sense. Yet the family card is a powerful tool, often wielded by those whose agenda is at stake. Yet the family card is a powerful tool, often wielded by those whose agenda is at stake. When designing our ideal forever partner, IFP for short, avatar, that avatar's ideal forever partner has to want you at your highest and best version as their ideal forever partner. Let me say that again. When designing our ideal forever partner avatar, that avatar has to want you at your highest and best as their IFP. See how that works? If you were in a fantasy, then you would be setting yourself up for disappointment. Mainly because this fantasy IFP avatar is not what you want in your heart anyway. Fantasy is about satisfying an unresolved issue within us, like lust or feeling inadequate. And don't get me wrong, if you want great sex, but in a love relationship, this comes in a form of passion. And in a fantasy encounter, it's just lust. The only problem with lust is it doesn't last long. An unconditionally loving, epic, forever relationship will last you a lifetime. Have you considered what your ideal forever partner avatar wants? One of them is that their IFP avatar has an open mind and is willing to grow, expand, and think limitless. That would be you. So, is reversing everything around, which means that we're talking about what our IFP avatar wants, but we have to consider what that avatar wants their IFP avatar like. So when we elevate ourselves to our highest and best version of ourselves, then we become the magnet for their ideal forever partner, making us irresistible to them. Isn't that awesome? A potential client told me once, I want my IFP to like me just the way I am and for who I am and not have to change myself. I didn't say anything to them, but that's just bullcrap. This person doesn't feel like she has to change or improve anything about herself in order to be attractive to her IFP. Now, that may be good enough for the outside, but if you're not elevating yourself to, or at least training to elevate yourself to be your highest and best version of yourself, then the relationship's not going to last. Because ultimately, you don't want to have a relationship where you have to hide who you are inside. You want to have a relationship with someone where you get to know them and you get to know what their language of love is, and you learn what makes them happy, and you learn how to have an amazing relationship. People that think this way don't want to think they have to change anything about themselves in order to be irresistible to their ideal forever partner avatar. Well, they will have to dramatically cut their definition of their IFP avatar, not just because of her limited mental attitude, but also because this lady, for example, she's not willing to change anything, improve anything about herself, because she doesn't think she should have to. So basically, when she meets her IFP, what he gets is what he sees. And this is as good as it's going to get. And it's downhill from there. Because you know what? If it's as good as it gets, there's no way but to go down. Is this what that lady meant? Probably not. But with her mental attitude, that's all she's going to get. I'm underlining this here. Because if you have any notion that you will meet your ideal forever partner, that is everything you ever wanted in a person, yet they have to be okay with you being your best right now and it's downhill from there, then I hope your defining of your IFP avatar is not too extravagant. This doesn't make sense. Yet, we're not looking at this and therefore we're not doing anything about this. When we should be training every day on being our highest and best version of ourselves. Am I making any sense here, you guys? Unless her IFP is interested in a body in a casket, that IFP will likely not be interested by her mental attitude anyway. Why did I say the thing about the casket? Because human beings' nature is to change. When we're alive, we change. We stop changing when we're dead or dying, which is when we need a casket. And if she's not changing anymore, then she's going to need a casket pretty soon. Our cells in our bodies are constantly renewing. Our hair is constantly growing. Our fingernails are constantly growing as well. Our organs are constantly operating. I'm saying all this to say that we're the greatest chameleons in the world. Change is our nature. Once we resist our nature change, then we immediately put limits on ourselves and we start the dying process. Here's a mortality trick for you. Want to keep living and living? Make change your number one priority in life. Do you think that what your IFP avatar wants their IFP avatar to have a limited mind or go against its nature? Of course not. So the idea that our IFP avatar should like us exactly the way we are is absurd. We're different a second later. Let me ask you a question. If we're always changing anyway, wouldn't it make sense to be changing in the direction to attract the goals and dreams we want to draw to us in our life? Repeat, we're going to change anyway. As long as we are alive, doesn't it make sense to be willing to change for better to attract our ideal forever partner? If we're going to change anyway, why not make those changes in the direction of attracting our ideal forever partner like a magnet? Of course, this makes sense. Look, I'm not talking about changing something that you don't want to change about yourself or something you don't want to become. I'm talking about becoming the highest and best version of yourself where you are willing to let go of blocks that you may continually have put in your own way, where you're willing to improve your mental attitude to think limitless, which will create a better life for you and your IFP, where you're willing to change bad habits that are childish or unbecoming a gentleman or a lady to gain the respect of your IFP, where you're willing to learn the language of love so you can receive love and learn to understand it on the deepest level, where you are willing to speak the language of love so you can communicate and comprehend what your IFP wants and loves and give that to them happily and freely in order to create an epic, unconditional, romantic love relationship that will last a lifetime. When we design what our IFP avatar looks like, there's one of these two things we should never compromise on. Number one, your IFP avatar training to be their highest and best version of themselves. If they're training to be their highest and best version of themselves, then you have a great future with that person. If that person's not willing to change, then you have a challenge and your relationship is as limited as someone else's mind is or as your mind is. Your IFP avatar, number two, your IFP avatar is willing to do what it takes to make your relationship work and has an open mind and is willing to train to be the highest and best version of themselves. If you can find someone that you are compatible with and that has those two things, you've got a great future. And if you don't know how to create that or draw that to you, then stick here, because I'm teaching you how to attract your ideal forever partner like a magnet. There are no other options that should be accepted here. If you want an epic, unconditional, romantic love relationship of a lifetime, anything else, you're just settling. Anything else, you're just settling. My topic header today is what's settling for less than your ideal forever partner looks like, and what it will cost you in your lifetime. Are you willing to settle? And what will the settling cost you? What's the cost of settling these days? How do we figure that out? The cost of this may be much greater than you've ever considered or can even imagine. In fact, this cost may be difficult to even calculate. So we're going to try to calculate it the best that we can. Okay, this won't be easy, but let me try to do this and put the cost of not manifesting our ideal forever partner and thereby settling for less into perspective. First off, manifesting our ideal forever partner is a part of our goals and dreams. Not pursuing our goals and dreams by settling for less becomes a way we do things. And you know what that danger is? The way we do anything is the way we do everything. Remember? Our life will become a habit of not creating our goals and dreams and becoming about settling for less, because that's the precedent we're setting. The cost of this is your best life. Another cost is your IFP, which you will not create because, or you will not manifest because you're going to settle with someone else. And number three, settling in every other area of your life. That's just the first part of the cost for settling. Because once you settle, then settling becomes a part of your program, and settling becomes a way of your life. Crap. We're just at the first cost, and this is rough, terribly rough already. Secondly, 90% of our happiness comes out of the life we manifest with our IFP. 90%. I'm not saying that if you settle that you will have no happiness in your life. I'm not saying that. I don't know what your happiness is. I just know that you're not going to get the happiness that you will if you go for your ideal forever partner. However, that happiness will always have a cap on it, because ultimately settling limits happiness. Settling limits happiness. The cost here is all the lifetime happiness you would have had with your IFP minus the lifetime happiness you have settled for. Thirdly, life is about creating unconditionally loving relationships, living well, and maximizing our potential. Once we choose to settle and settling becomes our norm or our modus operandi, then all of those things are greatly diminished. Even worse, we are constantly reminding ourselves that we settled and choose not to do our best or be our best. Once we settle, we begin a spiral down, which weighs heavily on our heart. Our health spirals down as well because our will to live is diminished. Now that sucks, right? Our mental attitude spirals down into a negative mental attitude. This can greatly shorten our lifespan because we don't have the will to live a long, settled life. Giving up is more and more attractive. To sum up the cost we came up so far, which is mind-boggling. So I'm going to add all of this up. This is the cost of settling. You're giving up your best life. You're giving up your ideal forever partner. You're settling in every other area of your life. Plus, all the lifetime happiness you would have had with your ideal forever partner minus the lifetime happiness you have settled for. Plus, once we settle, we begin to spiral down, which weighs heavy on our heart. Our health spirals down as well because our will to live is diminished. Our mental attitude spirals down into a negative mental attitude. This can greatly shorten our lifespan because we don't have the will to live a long, settled life. Giving up is more and more attractive. What in the world? Why am I even having this training for? I'm having it because I want to show you the dangers of settling and not doing your best. I do have some good news. I believe in reincarnation. You can always come back here to live another life. I recall several of my previous lives in bits and pieces, enough to be relevant to what my journey is this time. I believe I've been here many times to learn many lessons, and some over and over and over. I consciously chose, though, that this is my last life I will live in this world. I'm not coming back again. So I'm here to learn everything that I need to learn in order to not feel like I have to come back even one more time. Part of that choice is helping others while I am still here to live your best life. The best way I get to help you live your best life is to guide you toward manifesting your ideal forever partner, because this is the one greatest shift we all make in our life. And that means enough to us in order for us to transform ourselves for. That's my purpose here on earth. If you're ready for the fast track on living your best life, then private message me. The choice is yours. If you've enjoyed today's episode, please rate, review, and subscribe to the Ideal Forever Partner Magnet podcast. Your support helps us reach more souls in search of their unconditional true love. Check us out everywhere podcasts. Remember, you have the power to create heaven on earth through unconditional love. This is your life, no one else's. Grasp the courage to strive for the highest and best version of you and live your best life. Thank you for joining me on this epic journey.